DSP tries it, Hamburger Helper rant. This is from a year ago.
Okay.
You want to check out the DSP Hamburger Helper rant?
If you're wondering what I ate for dinner, Hamburger Helper. My wife said, oh, we should do something quick, you know, because she has to work today. She's like, do something that you can make at home. That's quick. By the way, Hamburger Helper is not quick. I'll tell you in a moment.
I got to say, this is a first for me. I've never seen a man get salty over Hamburger Helper before. Hamburger Helper is one of those meals where you're not expecting anything.
I know.
You're just like, all right, this will be a flavor that goes in my mouth.
It's very salty.
There's calories in it. It's very salty. It'll fill my stomach up. That's it. I don't have to cook. I don't have to chop up, any ingredients or anything. I just dump it all. It's in packs. It's packed in.
It's like cheating almost. It's cheating cooking.
Any meal that comes packed in paper, you can't have too much excitement for it.
I did see somebody get upset over instant ramen the other day on YouTube that they're like, by the way, this is not instant at all.
I mean,
it's too long.
These are the kind of clips you guys are like, why aren't you doing more DSP this week? Because I like the DSP stuff where he's just being silly and he's just being an idiot and he's just like that kind of DSP. Mm-hmm. Like this part where he's talking about not paying his rent and all this other shit and like yelling at people, that gets tedious after a while.
It's too common.
You're right. Well, not even too common. It's just like, I don't want to watch a guy yell at people.
No.
I like watching the ones where he's like, guys, you know what I discovered today? Hamburger Helper. Have you ever seen this? Oh my God, Hamburger. By the way, make something quick. It's not quick. DSP's got a very fast-paced day. He's got to feed his cat.
Helper, what the fuck does it help?
Yeah, that's not helping my hamburger. And she said, why don't you make something quick? It's not quick, by the way. I mean, compared to what? I mean, compared to making a gumbo from scratch, it's pretty quick.
I mean, yeah, I cook every single day, and I mean, Hamburger Helper is a pretty quick one.
It's pretty quick, DSP. Jesus.
She's like, let's do Hamburger Helper. And she's like, her favorite is Italian shells. Now, I never had the Italian shells. When I was a kid, my parents used to make Hamburger Helper. They used to make beef stroganoff, cheeseburger, and lasagna flavor. I thought that beef...
DSP had a good childhood then.
Yeah, I mean,
those are some solid Hamburger Helper flavors right there.
Those are probably the best ones.
You can't turn your nose up at Hamburger Helper. I think it's fine. I think it tastes just fine. You know what it's great for? And I know health-wise it's not. But
that's why I don't make it.
Kids don't have good palates. Like, they can't taste really good stuff at that age. Hamburger Helper is good for them. Well, not good for them, but it's good for their taste buds because they like that kind of simple mush kind of shit. Mm. I mean, you don't want to make a habit of it because it's so high in sodium and stuff. But
yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I don't make it is because I want to make sure the people I care about get good food in their tummies.
Yeah, Hamburger Helper is for kids and for single guys. Like, I'll say this, as a guy who lived in Litchfield in an apartment by himself, Hamburger Helper was like treat night. It wasn't mac and cheese with Cajun seasoning sprinkled on it. And yeah, I ate the whole box.
I always put Lowry's on mine.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But like Hamburger Helper, if you were a single guy, that was a treat. You're like, oh yeah, fuck mac and cheese. I'm eating Hamburger Helper tonight.
I always went for those Knorr brand, the Knorr.
Yep. The Lipton.
The angel hair. Oh
yeah.
God, those noodles are good.
Absolutely.
Stroganoff and lasagna flavor were pretty good. I actually absolutely hated the cheeseburger flavor. I thought it was gross. I thought it was like very...
Phil, they all taste the same. I love that Phil's getting like Gordon Ramsay on Hamburger Helper.
They're all very much like the varying colors of M&Ms. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
With different packages.
Phil, I just think like maybe your parents slapped you when you ate one of them, so it has a bad memory attached to it.
You got in trouble one night.
Yeah, when he was eating the stroganoff, it was all, they were talking about how well he did in his Little League game and everything else. But then when he ate the cheeseburger macaroni or whatever it was, his dad went, "You're the dumbest fucking kid. You'll never amount to anything, you piece of shit." And he's like, "I don't like the taste of that one." It's because the tastes do not differ that much.
No. Hamburger
Helper tastes like, well, Hamburger Helper. That's it. Mystery over.
Yeah, like when you think about Hamburger Helper to yourself, there's only one flavor thought provoked, right? That's it. Just like a salty beef.
A salty beef mush. That's what it is.
A paste.
Fake cheese tasting. Okay?
Nice snort.
So when my wife said, "Oh, try. I like Italian shell flavor. Let's try." Because she hasn't had it in a long time either. And I said, "Okay, we'll do it. Whatever. It's something quick, right?" It's not quick at all. So first you have to fry the meat up by itself.
Oh,
Whoa.
fucking A. Why can't they just send me the meat in the Hamburger Helper? I don't understand why they can't just put the meat in the box, let it sit on the shelf for an undisclosed amount of time, and I can just make the meat with all the other stuff.
He's the kind of guy that needs it canned. He needs
Yeah.
a liquid, like he needs the canned finished product that he can just warm up in the microwave, and that's it. He needs raviolis and SpaghettiOs.
I mean, look, I called the Hamburger Helper helpline that's on the back of the box, and I asked them, can I just use a Dinty Moore can and just microwave that and put that in the Hamburger Helper? And they said no. And I said, well, that's just unhelpful customer service.
It is just canned diarrhea.
Which in itself takes about 5 to 10 minutes. Then you have to drain all the fat out of the meat. Put the meat.
Phil, that takes 25 seconds.
I was gonna say, like, browning beef is the quickest, easiest fucking thing ever.
That takes 5 to 10 minutes. Then you got to drain the meat. And I always put the meat down the sink, and then I go fetch it out of the pipe, and that's how I drain it. So that takes about 15, 20 minutes once you finagle it out with a butter knife.
Get a leaner, like, ground beef, and you don't have to drain it either. You can skip some steps. There's cheating involved.
I love how he points out draining the beef as like a time-consuming item in his meal preparation.
I know.
Back in the skillet. Then you have to start putting in all these ingredients, the shells, a bunch of milk, a bunch of hot water.
Phil, it's pre-packaged for you. You just dump the shit in there.
This is beautiful. Like, I never want him to change. I need more of this.
If you guys want us to go all in on like, oh, did you see DSP yelling at his... I don't want to do that anymore. Find me the old school classic Phil stuff, and you'll watch us to... Here, this is our role in the DSP universe now. We'll go back and discover the Phil stuff for the first time for us.
Retro DSP.
Retro DSP. God. Yeah, my wife said it was quick. It's not quick. It takes like 5-10 minutes to brown the hamburger. Then eat it raw, fuckhead.
Oh, you know he gave it to her about this, too. Like, he's like, that was not quick.
Kat, you told me that this was a quick meal. It took at least 5 to 10 minutes to do the meat, and then I don't know how to strain. How do you strain meat? So I just sat there and I covered the lid with my hand, and then I poured the meat, and then that burned my hand really bad, and I had to wait for the fat juices to slow trickle out of the pan, and so I didn't lose any hamburger. Then Jasper rubbed against me, and that distracted me.
We got cat
Then you
hair
have to
in
put
it.
the packets of seasoning in, and then you have to start cooking it into a boil and stir it.
Oh, you poor fucking guy.
It's too much for his gamer biceps to handle.
And then you have to stir it. It's like, she told me this was an easy meal. I thought I would just stare at it and will it to boil.
He's the kind of guy that needs like a Hungry Man frozen dinner to just pop in the microwave that's like 2,500 grams of sodium.
How is Phil not catching on to what could be his next cash cow? A food review channel.
Food review.
I would watch DarkSydePhil food reviews all fucking day.
Dark Side Food.
Dark
Side Food Reviews.
Dark Side food reviews.
We did it.
You've got it.
Oh my God, dude. You've got this.
Phil,
buddy.
come on, buddy.
Okay, that alone to get it to a boil takes about another 5-10 minutes. Then when that's done, it says you have to simmer it for 25 minutes.
You have to simmer
and
it.
stir it constantly so it thickens. So here I am thinking this is going to be like a 10-minute thing. It took me a fucking hour.
Phil, that's a banquet TV dinner.
Even this guy on this ledge here is exhausted from listening to you.
The video game character is like, are we going to fucking move, bro? I got a wolf to kill.
I really got to shit.
Oh. He has to stop playing his game. Say, all right, guys, I've been really hoodwinked by the Hamburger Helper people.
DarkSydePhil's telling us the dark side of cheap foods.
That oven mitt is full of shit. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Hour to make Hamburger Helper.
No, it
I'm
doesn't.
like, why does
No,
it
it
take
does
so
not.
long? I thought it was something fast. I thought the whole point of Hamburger Helper was that you're like a parent, you don't have a lot of time. You need something quick to make for your family. So you just grab hamburger, throw it in, you mix it in, you stir it, it's done. This was like an hour of work.
It's 30 minutes to make Hamburger Helper. It
At
says it right on the
most.
box that it takes 30 minutes.
And I don't know how often you cook. I'm guessing not often, but like a 30-minute meal is a godsend. It's awesome.
Phil, do you like wait until you're at the peak point of starvation to start making your food? You're
That's
like,
never good. Don't
another
start-
half hour is going to kill me.
Do not start cooking when you're hungry. You've got to do it beforehand.
Hey, what did he fuck up that it took him an hour, you think?
The straining of the
Yeah, he definitely fucked up the straining of the meat.
Accidentally, like, he tried to use one of them, like, handheld tiny strainers you push on the pot, you know?
Maybe.
And he, like, slipped and he spilt it.
Here's my theory. He poured it in the strainer like a colander, right?
Okay.
And he let it sit there and went and played a video game because he thought you just let it, like, drip drain for, like, 10, 15, 20 minutes.
I can see that. Or he scorched the milk. Like, that'll ruin it, too.
I think he fucked up the straining process, and that's why he feels like it took him an hour.
He was straining.
Or, no. Phil had it on really low temperature, waiting for it to boil, so it took forever. Because he says it takes 5-10 minutes for it to boil. No, it doesn't. It takes like 2 or 3.
He saw the word simmer, which he said simber, by the way.
Simber, yeah.
And he turned it on, like, low because he's like, that sounds like a simmer to me.
I would watch him live stream himself making Hamburger Helper.
Yes. Dude, I hope he hears this someday. Like, somebody get this to him. But if you were to do, like, silly food reviews and just lean into it, I think people would love it.
Dark side food.
The dark side of fast food.
That's exactly what Phil needs to be doing right now.
And then after that, cleaning and everything.
As
and then on
if
top of
you did
that, so, after 25 minminutes of stirring and simmering, it actually did thicken up because at first it was actually liquidy and disgusting. I didn't think it was going to be thickened at all. But
you see, Phil, what's funny is Phil couldn't let it sit for a little bit.
Yeah.
He just had to shove it right in his mouth. As he's eating it, it starts thickening up.
No offense, but, like, this is how I would picture you trying to cook a meal, like, and it's going a little slow.
I can cook. How dare you? Better than this.
When is the last time you cooked for me?
Like our second date. But
Which
you're
I
just
will
so
say
good
you
at...
did a really good job.
First of all, I make that chili.
Well, that's a team effort, and
Yeah.
you're very good.
We just made it.
We do. You know what we do when we make chili? We separate the things that, like, we're both really good at. Like,
I dump in all the shit.
I let him open the cans and dump the cans in, and because that's annoying to me, and I chop all the vegetables.
And I determine the seasoning amounts.
You don't. The thing determines.
I always,
the seasoning amounts. You just
play,
measure them.
I play fast and loose with my spices.
No, you don't.
Oh, I play fast and loose. Does that recipe call for honey in the chili? It does not. That is an Aaron ad lib.
Aaron did ask my permission first. He's like, "Can we put some Mike's Hot Honey in this chili?" I'm like, "That's a bomb idea."
Sure was.
Actually did thicken properly and cooked properly. And by the end of the 25 minutes of stirring it, finally it's ready to go. So I put it on my plate. I go to eat it. First of all, it's steaming hot and there's no way to...
Phil, you just made food. You took it off a stove. Phil, you know that thing that turns red when you turn it on?
Hot surface.
There's glowing lights everywhere that tell you how hot it is. When you take your food off of that thing, that food actually traps in the heat that came from that hot thing. So, Phil, you don't dump the Hamburger Helper onto a plate from the pan and just go, like you're the Tasmanian devil.
He's liable to sue, like, Hamburger Helper for a multitude of reasons. Like, first off, it doesn't help anything. It's slow. I burnt myself. Like, he's about to pull, like, the McDonald's coffee was hot.
Yeah. I love that he takes it right off after finished cooking it. He's like, it's way too hot. I always eat my meals lukewarm.
Why don't we stick it in the freezer for a second like we do for the 3-year-old, and you're going to be okay.
Phil couldn't figure out why the Hamburger Helper was so hot after he took it off the stove.
Why are you hot?
God damn it.
Now his hands burned.
No, I know my hands. Oh, I got all over my hands.
Now Jasper's eating it.
Wait, like, I'm like, I don't have time to wait a half an hour for this to cool off.
You would think he's never existed with food before. God forbid. Like,
oh my God.
I feel bad for his wife. Like, this is why she lets him just take her out to eat, because she's like, I can't do this with him. No more food cooking.
Oh my God. I need a dark side food cooking channel now. Now. Keem, if you're out there, get your checkbook out. We've got an idea.
I want to provide him with the apron and a chef's hat.
Oh, guys, we're going overtime just for this.
Eat because I have shit to do before my second stream. So I had to eat it. I burned my mouth. My tongue's completely burnt now because it was so...
I burned my mouth on my Hamburger Helper.
This is wonderful.
Our 5-year-old doesn't do that.
Who sent us this? Thank you.
You know what our 5-year-old does? He grabs his fork, he puts the food to his mouth, and he goes, ooh, that's hot. That's hot. I'll put that down for a little bit. And then he waits, or he has us put it in the freezer for him, and then it cools down, and then he eats it. And DarkSydePhil just goes, and H is for hamburger. There's a volcano in my mouth. I burned myself on the Italian shells. More like Italian hells. How am I supposed to scream when I have a swollen tongue from a goddamn Hamburger Helper?
Oh my God.
This fucking guy.
This has to go up. We have
Phil,
to post this one.
Phil, if you find this video,
Please.
no disrespect intended.
No.
This is classic.
This is wonderful. You have to do more of this. I want him reviewing. I want him to fuck up a fucking White Castle slider in the microwave.
Phil,
Because you can.
to all you detractors out there who yelled at me because I said canceling this guy was a mistake, once again, you lose, I win. I need more of this.
Yes.
If you think that this guy going away is good for you, you are a fucking dimwit.
This guy needs to live another day so that we can get more of these videos.
Oh,
So hot. Like, Jesus Christ, it's like fucking, it's steaming hot. And it took me like 20 minutes to eat it, and it was still hot. When I was eating the last piece, it was still hot.
oh, what a
Wow.
shitty food that stays hot when you eat it.
You got a good hot meal in your tummy. You know he'd bitch the opposite direction if it was cold.
God damn.
Right?
Yeah, it's almost like the unhappiness is coming from inside him.
Now my innards are cold.
I have the coldest kidneys you've ever seen in your life, and it's all because this Hamburger Helper didn't stay fucking hot.
He just eats raw burger.
As I'm eating it, I realize this is one of the most disgusting things I've ever had in my life. It was devoid of any kind of actual seasoning flavor.
That's because it came in a paper packet, you fucking idiot. Oh
He
my
forgot
God.
to put that in.
Are you telling me that the paper packet that had the seasonings in it was not fresh oregano from the store?
I will stand up for Hamburger Helper here. You should have gotten an overwhelming sense of saltiness.
Oh, yeah. That's,
That, like, if you can't taste that, you can't taste shit.
yeah. DSP, you're used to salt.
It was the most bland, generic, flavorless cheese I've ever had in my life. And
It's not cheese!
It's literally a powder, sir. It's powder.
Was this asshole expecting, like, steakhouse quality food out of his Hamburger Helper?
Duh.
that includes like bad mac and cheese. This is worse than that. It was like, they call it Italian shells. There's nothing Italian in that. There's no tomato flavor at all. There's no oregano. There's nothing that.
You don't need tomato for Italian, by the
That's
way.
because it's Hamburger Helper. It cost you $1.99, and it's full of packaged powders.
And that's with inflation.
Right, yeah, Phil, you're not gonna get oregano and tomato basil from your fucking Hamburger Helper. I'm sorry.
I mean, you could throw in a dash of your own if you cared so much.
Right.
I do.
That you would say, oh, this is an Italian dish. It tastes completely like factory cheese. You know what I mean? Like
It's
they took
factory
real
cheese.
and they fucking scraped off the edges of the dried up pieces and dried it and dried it and dried it and dried it, and then you add milk and water to it. It's supposed to be cheese. It's not. It's fucking disgusting. It was like, so I'm eating it, I'm like, there's zero flavor. The only thing that had flavor in the whole thing was the beef, because of course
I've never seen someone care this much about Hamburger Helper.
Now I'm gonna take a serious moment here. Like,
Yeah.
This is like ASPCA type serious. Phil, I want you to know that while you sit and gripe about your hot meal of Hamburger Helper, there are kids in third world countries that would give their nuts for that food. So
ground beef that I had cooked, and it had a little.
He cooked the ground beef. Get him. That's rich. You mean you watched it turn from red to brown? Wow. Thanks, Gordon Ramsay.
he looks like the kind of guy that would open up like a, you know how like ground beef comes in like that paper pack
Yeah,
from the meat
yeah.
counter? He'd like open it up and be like, this shit isn't brown. It's not brown beef. What the fuck is
But a
this?
beef flavor to it. The thing was nasty. As I'm eating it, I was like, "Oh man, I really want to eat this, but it's all I have. I don't have anything else ready to eat. Like, I guess I got to eat it." So I forced it down, and I don't, it was not appetizing at all. It was disgusting.
Should've
So
seen
what,
it on
what
its
I'm
way out.
hoping, is that my wife agrees with me, and not that she actually liked that, because I don't know how she could have liked that. The thing is, I remember as a kid eating Hamburger Helper and liking some of the flavors.
Wow, so maybe it's the
So-
dipshit who was responsible for making it that maybe
Right.
made it not good this time.
Maybe not the product's fault.
Oh, man.
Maybe this one, because I never had this one before. Maybe she's misremembering what kind it was.
Yeah, it's the dumb cunt's fault.
Yeah, it's actually your wife's fault.
God, Phil.
Your wife wasn't even home for this.
This is like if Walter White just stayed in and played video games all day.
This is that.
Yes.
This is that.
Maybe they changed it over the years, because the thing is, it's called Italian shells. There's nothing Italian about it. Like I said, there's no tomato, no oregano, nothing that would be considered an Italian ingredient is in that dish.
It's $1.99 full of packaged powders and paper, you dipshit.
They maybe put Italian on there to sound appetizing. So they make sales.
I can't believe it. When I'm at an Olive Garden, I walk out and I go, this isn't Sicily.
By the way, I think we're all leaving out the tuna helper too. Isn't that delicious?
Yeah, you can leave out tuna helper. It can suck my dick.
Oh, I liked tuna
It
helpers.
takes too long. It takes an hour. It's really hot all the time.
You don't have to cook the tuna.
That's true.
You just dump a can in.
It's just shells with disgusting bland cheese sauce.
Right.
And that's it. There's nothing else to it. It's disgusting.
Snort.
I love how this guy who can't cook pretends he's above the Hamburger Helper, though.
I don't like that he's like, oh, that's just disgusting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
I'm very upset. No, I'm really upset.
Yeah, maybe that's why the Hamburger Helper was hot and your snort boogers got into
Yeah,
it, and that's why it didn't taste good.
Your perimeter of what is or is not considered disgusting is troubling.
Because that was my dinner, and I worked an hour to make it, and it's terrible. It's one thing if you're
baby.
like, oh, this is something quick, right? I'm gonna toss it in a pot. It takes like 10, 15 minutes to warm. Oh, it's terrible. Like that's happened to me. You buy one of those pre-made soups, you warm it in a pot, eat it. Oh, it's bland. It's terrible. Big deal. All you do is throw it in a pot, rinse the pot, you're done. No, this is like an hour of fucking work. An hour of my time.
An hour of work. You're stirring.
We should time lapse me making a hamburger helper just to send to Phil.
All right. Well, that's pretty much the end of that one, and we're way over time here, but
man.
we are putting that one up. God bless DarkSydePhil.